Orange and Black Insider Bengals podcast. He's John Sheeran. I'm Anthony Cosenza. You can get this show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. You can get it on YouTube. You can get it on Art19 and on Cincy Jungle. Get it how you can. We've got a lot of good material coming up, as well as our normal show. So please check it out. Keep tuned to us. We appreciate all of the support. And there's been a lot of new listeners, it seems like, in the live broadcast, which is awesome as well. We're gonna get out of here with listener questions. I've already got one teed up. We're gonna try and maybe take one more beyond that. You can give us a call or shoot us a text, 949-542-6241.
I think I know who this is.
This is the Orange and Black Insider. Who's this?
Hey, it's Terrell.
Terrell. Yes, Terrell. Oh, we thought we had somebody else, but John thought.
You're going out of order, man. You go after
John. I know. John thought it was somebody else on the line, but we are happy to have you, sir. We're going to get to our game in just a second here, but what can we answer for you tonight, buddy?
Basically, I'm thinking I got three theories of a head coach, maybe two basically wound down too. But I basically think that the Bengals waiting for Eric Bieniemy to get down with game this weekend, and he want to have common courtesy of him not thinking about being a head coach, so he want to look to help get his finish with the game. So that's what I think. And then second thing is worst come to worst, as it be internal. A lot of people is thinking about Darren Simmons and maybe Minnesota, but if I was to say outside, I think it's Eric Bieniemy and the guy Monken. I think I pronounced the name, the guy from the Buccaneers.
Oh yeah, Monken, yeah.
Monken and Ben Johnson and Darren Simmons. So that's my top four. Winding down to the last minute of the weekend of this week, and basically, I'm kind of worried that Le'Veon Bell might go to the Ravens, man. So I'm kind of worried about that too. I think he's gonna stay in the AFC because he wanna get revenge on the Steelers and he wanna pick up on us.
That would not be good. Thanks for the call, Terrell. Interesting stuff, and I think a lot of us are in agreement with you in terms of the Bengals are probably. I think common sense tells you they're probably waiting for one of these guys. Thanks for the call, by the way, Terrell. They're waiting for one of these guys for this weekend to pass. I mean, I think that's kind of what we're thinking, right, John?
Yeah, I think best case scenario would be for them at least that the Colts and the Cowboys win, so the Chiefs and the Rams are out of the playoffs, and they can, I guess, make that decision final as quick as possible. But it's probably not going to happen. So I guess we're just going to be left in the dark for a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, I think Bieniemy's probably at one of the top of the list. But what do you think about what he just said about Le'Veon Bell? I didn't think about that.
He said
he said the Ravens. A lot of people think he might go to the Colts. I think the bridge is burned, obviously, for Pittsburgh. I don't think that's happening again. And then obviously Pittsburgh proved this year that they can run the ball with basically anybody. Connor and then the other kid that they had ended up having I think 100-yard game for him as well at some point. So I mean that's kind of plug and play there. But what do you think about Bell and the Ravens? That's interesting.
That'd be such a pity signing because he would obviously get more opportunity and more money with the Colts because they have, I think, 120 in cap space and they have a proven offensive line and mind to work with. And even if Marlon Mack is ascending there, I'm sure Frank Reich could get the most out of both of them and make him worth his money. But going to the Ravens would be such an in-your-face kind of thing because I don't think they can pay him what the Colts can. And I think their backfield is pretty much set as well with what they have, and how he would work with Lamar Jackson would be extremely interesting. But he would just be going there to prove a point, I guess. And I have to, I guess, respect that if he decides to do it. But if this whole thing was about him getting the biggest bag, I don't know why going into Baltimore would be the answer to that.
It would simply be to stick it to the Steelers twice a year and potentially the Bengals. So just like Terrell said, but that would not be good. I would just like to see him just get out of the division. Just I don't think the Bengals need to face him twice a year. We could have talked about this one when we talked about Mike Munchak, I guess, John. But we got a text earlier in the program from, let me see the area code. From 513, well, that's Cincinnati area code, so shocker. But I didn't get the name of the person, unfortunately. But just 2 words and a question mark. Greg Williams.
I don't really have a strong opinion on this because, like, I think he's funny as a meme, and like I kind of like to pretend that he's not like an actual person. He's just kind of like an alien kind of figure that just says random football things from here and then. But he did surprise me in Cleveland, and how players rallied behind him and how he was able to effectively utilize and elevate that defense to the level that it should have performed, because there was a lot of raw talent on that defense, and he ended up making it work. And it was again a strong unit after it was 2017. So, I think Cleveland handled the situation perfectly in hiring Kitchens and letting Kitchens pick his own staff and clearing out most of that staff, which one of them ended up being Ken Zampese, the quarterback coach. But yeah, I think that Williams will probably find another job because of the job they did. I think he's like the 3rd winningest coach in Browns history in terms of winning percentage after going like 5-3. So,
Crazy.
I think he does still have a future in this league. But if the new head coach likes him at defensive coordinator, then I guess there's reasons to support that. But I guess he's not my first choice. But he did surprise me this year, and he's now considered a person in my eyes and not just some figment of my imagination.
Yeah, I mean, for head coach right now, I'd kind of say let's
no, definitely not head coach.
Yeah, I'd say let's maybe go a different direction. But for defensive coordinator, I would be on board with that, especially because of, like you said, how the Browns rallied around him, some of the things that the Browns were able to do, and he collected some talent there on that Browns defense, and he made it work. There's some talented players and young talented players on that defense that the Bengals will have to deal with for a long time. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. I think I don't know how old he is, but Schobert, the linebacker, he seems to make some plays a lot as well. He's a decent player. So a lot of good pieces on that defense, and Greg Williams probably not only helped bring those pieces in, but also groom them into productive NFL players. We're going to get out of here with this one. It's kind of a tag team question from 2 people in our live YouTube chat. This question, normally I wouldn't answer it this time of year, but I think it's pertinent because the Bengals are now searching for a new head coach, and I think the discussion kind of needs to be had. This will probably change after free agency, but Vignesh Arasu says, what position do you think the Bengals should draft in the first round this year? And Peter Nefa says, should they use the first round pick for a quarterback understudy for a year? Is that the way to go? Your thoughts there very early in the process here, John?
I think at the moment there's like one clear quarterback that you would want to sit behind Dalton for a year to then take over. I think that's Haskins, and I don't think that they'll be able to get Haskins unless they trade up. And
right,
for the Bengals that we know, at least that's not a likely possibility. As our own Matt Minich said, it doesn't have to be a great quarterback class. There just has to be a great quarterback period for your team. And honestly, it's still a little bit early to clearly say that with any conviction, because there is some intriguing names, but there's not a lot of guys that the data in terms of predicting quarterback success really supports besides Haskins. But yeah, if they're, they could pull a Bills and just, defy, conventional thinking. And if they truly, buy into a guy, then they have a plan, and at least you can kind of rally behind that. But as far as right now, the position that they should look at, I think it has to be either offensive tackle or linebacker. I think there has to be a certain time where we just, they just nail down the linebacker position in a true manner, whether that's an actual free agent signing to a multi-year deal, or just go out and get a guy who's a clear-cut blue chip prospect. And maybe there's that guy in the draft, and the guy like Devin White from LSU. We don't even know if he's going to declare for the draft, but he would probably be that early favorite now. And if it's not linebacker, then maybe they shore up that right tackle spot, because at least they have some solidity along 3 positions on that line. Maybe they can get away with a bad guard if they, a bad right guard, I should say, if they pair him up next to a competent right tackle. And I think if they find that guy at 11th overall, then they should probably pull the trigger if they don't have a linebacker there.
Yeah, and I think, from what I've read a little bit on the tackles this year, there's not a bunch of strong ones. I mean, there's kind of some ones that are pretty good. I mean, even one of the guys, if you watch the national championship game, and by the way, we were going to talk about some of those players this week, but that played in that game, but too much going on with the coaching stuff. But if you looked at, his name escapes me at the moment, but their starting left tackle, he was pegged as basically a top 15 pick this year. He kind of got thrown around.
Oh, Jonah Williams.
Yeah, thank you. He got thrown around a little bit by the Clemson defensive line, which a lot of players do because that Clemson defensive line is insane. But maybe he's more suited as a right tackle, whatever in the NFL. But that was a little disheartening. He's going to go up against as good, if not better, competition in the NFL. So that that's not great. So maybe at that point, maybe he's a little bit of a reach at 11. And then you say, well, then there's the Devin White kid from LSU, and that position is sorely needed at linebacker. You see the effect Roquan Smith had on the Bears this year. This kid from LSU is just like that. He's probably a little bit more stocky, a little bit more of the middle linebacker type, I think, but can just make a lot of different plays like a Roquan Smith. I really wanted Roquan Smith last year. Mm-hmm. If the Bengals were able to grab him, but it depends on the coach. Personally, I'm kind of saying, well, you got your new head coach, you're going to have a new defensive coordinator. I think a lot of people want the move to quarterback, but maybe just after so much change, maybe early on you kind of go a little more safe. You kind of, what Marvin did, even though he wasn't a head coach at the time, but what Marvin, a new head coach, what Marvin did in 2011, they took the safest player in the draft in AJ Green at number 4, and they just said, that's where we're going. And maybe that's what they do this year. So I agree with you, John. I think offensive line or linebacker is probably the way to go. Depending on who they hire, though, if it's Bieniemy or one of these guys from the Rams, maybe even Monken, I don't know. They may be saying what they're selling is we're moving away from Dalton and we're doing something else, and maybe that's enough for Mike Brown to go and say, okay, we'll give you the capital to go up and get a Haskins or something like that. We'll see. Thanks for the questions, guys. We're running a little late. We're running a little long. We started late tonight, unfortunately, but we've got to get out of here for time purposes. You can keep your eyes and ears not only to this podcast, The Orange and Black Insider, on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, Cincy Jungle, and Art19, but you can also keep your eyes and ears to cincyjungle.com. We'll have all the updates, news, analysis. I have to pat us on the back. We're pretty quick on the news front in terms of breaking news, and so not only that, like I said, opinion analysis, all that good stuff. So keep it there as well. For John Sheeran, I'm Anthony Cosenza. We'll see you next time.